Hello everyone, so I hope you're doing fine. Now, in this episode, we are going to talk about the comb synthesis in quinoline. So we were talking about these quinolines in our playlist. If you remember, we have talked about pyrols, furans, and many more heterocyclic compounds. So I will put the link here to our playlist, so you can go through our playlist and see whether is there any kind of video that you might be interested in, right? So in our previous video, our latest video, we have talked about the synthesis of quinolines using a skraup synthesis, which is the most popular method for the synthesis of quinolines. Now, in this video, what we are going to do is we are going to go step by step, try to understand the mechanism of this comb synthesis. So we will find some questions regarding this synthesis, and there are some small points that we need to identify using this synthesis. So I will point out these problems, I will highlight these problems step by step using in proper places, right? So we will go with the process, right? We shall go with the process and see what will happen here. So this is our initial reagent compound. This is the compound that we are going to use for our synthesis, and we also want this compound also. And at our first step, right, this is our first step. The first step, what happens is the imine formation. So this is imine formation. I'm not going to go in much details regarding the imine formation, because in heterocyclic chemistry, in this playlist, throughout this playlist, I have talked plenty of time about this imine formation. And for your information, I will put the link here for the imine formation. It's a quick video, very quick video, and you can easily understand it. If you are new to this imine formation, if you don't remember imine formation, you can go through this link and see and refresh your memory about the imine formation, right? So unless that, I hope you are okay with the imine formation, since the comb synthesis quinolines are a little bit advanced organic chemistry. So if you are into these steps, like if you are on these levels, I hope you are okay with this imine formation. But the things can happen, right? I mean, I can understand sometimes we forget things, sometimes we forget things when we are not in touch with the imine formation. So if you are new to this heterocyclic chemistry, you may forget the imine formation. So in that case, you can go through this link and remember that yourself. Now this is the product that we have after the imine formation. So let's try to understand what happened here. You can see there's a nitrogen group over here, and nitrogen group is attached to one of the carbonyl groups. So as you can see here, this place, so if I number this carbon chain 1 2 3 4, this is the 1, this is the 2, this is 3, and this is the 4. Now I hope you can understand how the attachment happened, right? The oxygen is being replaced by this nitrogen, and water molecule is being removed, this oxygen and these two hydrogens. That's the imine formation, right? So at our next step, okay, next step, what happens is the rearrangement. So this one comes here, and hydrogen on this place is being transferred to this nitrogen atom. So this hydrogen over here, it's on this nitrogen atom now. So the rearrangement happens on this step. And the next step is very crucial, right? This step is very crucial. As you can see here, we have plenty of water molecules around our medium. So let's say we have a water molecule like this, and this oxygen right here, it will go and attack to one of the hydrogens using a lone pair, and it will take hydrogen and make the oxygen as a positive charge. Okay, now we have our compounds like this. It's a positively charged species. So this is the very crucial step, the cyclization. If you remember our previous video about the skraup synthesis, right, about the skraup synthesis of quinolines, I hope you must be able to remember how the cyclization happens. We have a lone pair on the nitrogen, This lone pair will come onto this position to form a double bond. When that happens, this double bond has to move on. So it will go out and attack to this carbonyl position. When this attack happens, one of the double bond will be so this double bond will be broken, and the lone pair the lone pair in this double bond will come back into the oxygen to neutralize the positive charge. So after those things happens, this is the structure we had. As you can see, when the nitrogen is donating its electron density, nitrogen is becoming a positive charge, and oxygen is now it has become neutral, and we have OH group, and this methyl group is there, which is on this place. Okay, as for the next step, right? So now we have this. Okay, we have this compound. As for our next step, what happens is removal of water molecule. So removal of water molecule will happen. So when this water molecule is being removed, aromaticity of this compound will be regained. So as you can see here, this is the quinoline. The important thing regarding this comb synthesis is we have relatively very low yield. As you can see, 23% yield we have from the comb synthesis. If you remember our previous video, which we have talked about the skraup synthesis, right? Here, this is the skraup synthesis. We had 85% yield. So that's a remarkable compared to the comb synthesis. So as you can see, when you compare comb synthesis with the skraup synthesis, you will definitely understand that the skraup synthesis is much more better than the comb synthesis. Then you may ask, why there is comb synthesis? If we have this clear synthesis method, then why do we have to use comb synthesis? Because of a certain criteria, right? So in this case, you have two common reagents compared to the skraup synthesis. So these reagents are much more common than the reagents that are used in skraup synthesis. Likewise, there are certain conditions, there are certain reasons that why we use comb synthesis. So I hope it's fine. So this is pretty much a simple mechanism. The only crucial step occurred in here, but I am pretty much sure that after these two videos, after these plenty of videos regarding the quinoline synthesis, you will be much more familiar with this particular mechanisms, because most of the synthesis mechanism regarding the quinols involves this particular step. If you remember in our previous video, which we have talked about the skraup synthesis, the same step, the same cyclization step happens in there too. So in here, in the comb synthesis, we have the same cyclization step. So these are the same, right? So you will note these things when you try to understand mechanisms. When you write mechanisms for few times, you will understand the same steps, same mechanisms, like the same patterns are coming over and over again. So these are very important, and it's much more easy to learn, and it's much more easy to remember. And I hope it's fine for you. But before we wrap up this session, I have to mention another small point. Let's say instead of this compound as a reagent, right? Instead of this compound, we have a different compound. Let's say we have a compound like this. Okay, now when we have a compound like this, so there's this is an aromatic compound. Okay, when we have a compound like this, at first step, the imine formation happens. So there's this compound, this one, right? This one is attached to our nitrogen atom. Now there's a small contradiction. What is that? You have two possible positions to cyclization. In this case, if you see closely, we have only one position. This is the only possible position for the cyclization, because there is a segment on this particular position. So this position is already occupied. So the cyclization cannot happen to this particular position. But if you considering a compound or reagent like this, you have two possible cyclization places, so you will have two products. So using this kind of reagent, you will get two products like this. One is from like let's say let's say 1 2 3 4 5 6. One is from the sixth position and the other one from the second position. This is one possible product. And the other possible product is through the cyclization at second position. Okay, like this. So these are two possible products. So if you have a reagent with no occupied segment to this particular position, or otherwise the adjacent places to the nitrogen part here, this is the position where the nitrogen is being attached. The adjacent places are both. If the both adjacent places are unoccupied, then you have two possible products. Other case, if you have one unoccupied place, then definitely the cyclization will happen to that particular place. So you have to be careful, right? You have to be careful when regarding if your exam gives you a reagent with if your exam consists a reagent with two possible products, like this case, you have to give the mechanism for both of these products, right? I hope it's clear up to now. The same mechanism, same process, same arrow pushing mechanism, but the only difference is the cyclization position. The cyclization position around this case, instead of this one, the cyclization now is also possible through this place. So that's the only difference. So I hope it's fine for you. If you have any questions, please feel free to comment below. I will try my best to answer those questions. So this is a relatively very short video. I hope it's fine to you. In our next video, we will continue our discussion, and also next video we are going to talk about another synthesis method. So in that synthesis method, we will find a better solution to this problem. So stay tuned and also subscribe if you have not subscribed to our channel, and all the best to your exams. Thank you.